How's it going, everybody? Gonna show the best all but one here of my Balisong collection again, so you guys can see these puppies in HD, and especially now that I've used that awesome stuff, which this is Wright's Copper Cream, to shine these puppies up. As in, this stuff is awesome on brass. Especially if you got a knife like this one that's got solid brass handles that is just really tarnished up bad to where it just looks nasty and it's getting that kind of green blue crap on it. As in, this one was really nasty, just tarnished dirty when I got it. It took a lot to get it to where it is now. So anyways, just to let you guys know, for anybody that saved some of the videos where I'm showing these individually, I have deleted quite a few of them, as in old camera, low quality camera, now fortunately badass camera. And if the color's going in and out and stuff, it's because I got everything set on auto. I'm trying this true color clear frame technology on my new Microsoft Cinema Cam here, so hopefully it won't start screwing with me, since so far it's showing them off nice. Anyways, I'm going to start here, and I've shown this one recently and got this one for 20 bucks, and I'm pretty damn sure it is from the 1950s. But I'm having a bitch of a time trying to find any information on it. I have a feeling this little puppy is rare. As in, for anybody who hasn't seen, this is my last vid. This pearl looking type stuff on the handles, that is not inlaid pearl or abalone type shell or anything. It is called celluloid, and it's this plastic film that they just fold over it like tape, and this was on a lot of the cheap novelty knives back in the day. As in, the regular old pocket knives like the little lockbacks and stuff, or just folders, you can find a lot of them, but I've only found 2 sites with pics of this, but not given any information on the age of it or how much it's worth. So 20 bucks, and if any of you guys have this one or have found one at a site for sale, let me know, man. Now this one here, which I just polished up the brass on, one of my favorites, and also another one of my oldest. This thing's either got to be from the 60s or 70s. So then I got this one. In fact, this was one of the first butterfly knife slash Balisongs that I picked up in Arizona. I got this in the early 90s, not too long after I first moved to Arizona, and found it at a pawn shop in Bullhead City for 10 bucks. The guy had no clue what it was. It's typical redneck, not too bright, pawn shop no longer, as in he went out of business a long freaking time ago. And pretty much if it wasn't a big freaking hunting type Bowie knife, he had no clue. So that's sometimes how you get stuff like this for cheap, as in, I'm going to give some links to some good sites that I found to either buy, or if anything, check out some of these that are new made, just to give you an idea on how much they're worth. And this one, if it was new made, I'd say this would be at least a $200 knife. Maybe even more than that, as in, depending on the sites, man. Some of the ones I saw were really nice, but had a very basic blade, nothing fancy like this. Or, show you here. This has an eagle head pommel here. Nothing like that, just real basic. Brass or stainless steel with either bone or wood inlay. And they were starting at about 100 bucks and up. And on the 100 bucks and up, that's not for one this size. This thing is huge. Very big knife. I'd measure it, but I don't have a tape measure anywhere around me, but take my word for it, it's a big freaking knife. And on the blade here, the reason it's darkened like that, especially in the eagle's head pommel. It's because it's carbon steel, and the carbon steel will get that darkened look. Basically, because it's not stainless, it will rust if you get this thing wet. You got to keep taking care of these and oil them up, and do like I'm doing, polishing them up, and just take care of them, and they'll last. But man, the carbon still holds one hell of an edge. I've never sharpened this and never will. It is not real sharp, but still has a bit of an edge on top here also. Just really nice. Also, speaking of the ones that I've been drilling over that are for sale, I've never seen another one that has a latch this beautiful. That is just some awesome tool work. Very, very nice quality. So this would be one of the high dollar ones. And the reason I'm thinking it's from 70s or maybe even the 60s, the bone is starting to get deterioration, not just break as in from usage, as in I don't flip this, man. I don't flip any of my vintage ones. But it's starting to really show age, especially on that one and a little bit on the other sides too. So, crazy ass find for $10. This one, same thing, either late 60s, 70s, don't know. The guy kind of just gave me just a date between those 2 years, and just, sorry, the brain is going, just within that range of years. As in, he said he had it for a long time. This was his carry-around knife, and the guy that I got it from was in his 70s. And this is in really good shape. The bone definitely shows signs of age, but it's aging nicely, as in it was more of a white type antler or stag or whatever. And yeah, on this side, if I hold that under really bright light like sunlight, it's almost translucent. It's starting to get that kind of glassy look to it, which is just nice. And another one that I polished up. A little bit of tool work here. As you can see, you got some lines cut into the blade there, both sides to match. Just a little bit of tool work here, a couple lines cut across the latch, and then the 2 little dots put in. Nothing fancy on that. One like this, as in, not really too big. It's the length of my hand with a finger out, so not too big. Definitely pocket knife size. You could probably find one of these for well under $100, like maybe $80 range. As in, they're still handmade, so they're pricey. This one here, this is one of the really cheap Pakistan Balisongs from the 80s, man, and they were absolute shit back in the day. They are still absolute shit, as I didn't work too hard on getting this one polished today, man. This was the last one I messed with, and I got tired out. Can't polish a turd. As in, the blade is kind of scratched up from it being manipulated, man, but the blades on these usually are pretty shitty. It just says Pakistan stainless. Not very thick steel for the blades. They are always way loose on the handles to where they're just really shaky when they flip. The latch usually is not lined up very well. And that's also a little bit better in the closed position, but just to give you an example on how much these things are worth now and were worth back then. My parents used to be in the campground business, and we had our little general store. And my mom, because we had the store, she'd get catalogs from all over the place, and a lot of times she'd get like stuff from China or Japan for wholesale, or just knife catalogs, militaria, and she'd gotten one to where you could buy a box full of these. And it was either like 15 or 20 knives in a box, and it wasn't like this. It was the one where it's all skeletonized, like that one, which is the more common one that you find. It came out at like 50 cents a knife. And on the quality, because back in the day, man, in the 80s and stuff, I don't know when Pakistan started doing better on their knives. I'm going to probably say the 90s, as in now. I look for Pakistan knives. Back then, they were shit. And no quality control whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned, as in, I probably either traded or sold about 5 of them out of the box. The rest of them were so shitty, I just gave them away. I mean, just considered them a loss. Just that low quality. And don't see too many like this that have the nice stamping into the brass here. And there's been some other ones where they got like a wave design or whatever. Not usually too much. As in, I'm pretty sure the handles on this were done in a cast. This looks all cast here. It doesn't look like it was just stamped in or carved into it, as in there's little melt spots here. So, got that for 10 bucks. That is the most that I would pay for one of these in this shape, let alone just good shape. Even if I found one mint in the box, man, I would not pay more than 10 bucks because of just the quality. Now this one here, this thing flips like freaking silk, and also proves, try and get it focused in there, goddamn light's messing with me. This was made by Frost Cutlery when Frost Cutlery was the absolute shit back in the day. They made some nice knives. And on the butterfly knives, man, for ones like this, I think they're pretty scarce. I don't see too many of these floating around online. And just really freaking smooth. Very smooth. About as smooth as that, and that is my Pacific Cutlery Balisong that I mentioned in the video here. That's 50 bucks that I paid for it. Which, that's the most I paid for one of these, man. That's crazy in itself. So this one, 10 or 20 bucks on this, I cannot remember. I got this a few years ago in Golden Valley, which is just out of Kingman here. There's a few swap meets there, and that's where I got it, was at one of the swap meets. And say, man, really, really tarnished up. Now this one, I'm going to say 10 bucks, man. I did not pay more than that for it because, yeah, it is from the 80s, but really, really loose. This thing's seen a lot of love. Can't call it abuse. Somebody loved this knife and just had it as their pack-around knife, as it's been resharpened. So, not one of my more valuable ones, but cool to have. This is a Taylor Seto Golden Dragon. Solid brass handles, no liners. That is solid brass pins, and just doesn't close up too well there. Everything's just really loose, but shined up pretty nice now that I got fingerprints all over it. So, nice little knife. Close these up so they don't get any tarnish. Now this one's made by Taylor Seto. This is the one that they would have possibly used the pattern for that off of, as in there was a bigger version of this too, which I've seen both of these floating around, and not real pricey, but pricey enough. I've seen this one up to 100 bucks for one that's damn near mint, and this one, I'd say it's in really good condition. It's got some scratching on it, but if you put it on a polisher, it would look like new again. There's no deep gouges, just really, really light scratches from it being just packed around for all these years. This is a model G971. So very similar to the way the Pakistan one's made, but high quality. Taylor Seto was just good stuff back in the day, man. They had some nice knives. And on the knives, man, just to let you guys know, man, pretty much all the ones that I remember back in the day, Taylor Seto, Parker, Fowler, Balisong, Benchmade, man. Fury. Any of the old ones that you can get this kind of quality on back in the day, and I think it was Valor or Fury made some to where they were copying the original Patanga style, and they were very nice. I picked up one for a good friend of mine. He's passed away now. Died floating down the river in a giant Cheerio, man. Remember, boys and girls, don't go down the fucking American River in an inner tube. No, no. That's what got him killed. Got sucked under, man, and that river's so fast his buddies couldn't keep up with him. But the one that I got for him for a birthday present, about that size, more common blade, really, really nice. Not as nice as this, but really, really nice, man. It was high quality. Close up this one too. Gotta get all these put away. This one, this one, and any of them of this era is in late 70s, early 80s, man. These things are friggin' beasts. I mean, just as a comparison here, look at how thick the frickin' handles are. This one, I've never flipped it and never will until I can find a place where I can get some chainmail gloves, and then maybe I might try. As in, the blade on this, it is concave ground, not hollow ground, but concave ground, which is more like a razor blade, and it is very, very sharp. And guy said, man, he kept it in the sheath all the time and had it more for just show, for protection, so really didn't use it. Most of the scratches on this, which were all pretty light, I buffed a lot of them out on the handles, but it was this carry-around knife, just for display purposes. The top of the blade is just as sharp on the bottom. It's also concave ground. This sucker, just on how it is, man, if you held it wrong and had it go like that on your finger, you'd be going to the hospital. You'd definitely be getting stitches, or worse if it hit one of your tendons. Anyways, on these, it's got the butterfly logo, just like they still have on the Benchmade knives, as in, either, I gotta look this up, man. I can't remember if Benchmade took over Pacific Cutlery, or Pacific Cutlery turned into Benchmade. And I can't remember which year they made the changeover. As in, I was seeing a lot of these at trade shows in Reno, Nevada when I'd go with my parents, and I just can't remember, man, because they put the ban on the butterfly knives and we were in California, but the trade show was in Reno, Nevada where they were legal, so didn't get to see too many of them for very long. But anyways, it says Balisong across the little butterfly logo there. And then the other side, it just says Balisong USA. It's very, very nice. And, God, can't remember his name. Jody something. I can't think of his last name, but I think his first name's Jody. He was one of the people that worked for Pacific Cutlery that did a lot of the customs. I think Jody Sampson. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. But if you find one that has anybody's name that is obviously etched on the blade at the factory, they are worth a lot of money, man. Those ones are usually customs, to where one of a kind. As in back in the day, you can get all your different blades. In fact, the Balisong manual here shows all the different blade styles you can get. This was the most popular, but all different types. Very cool back in the day that you could do that, man, but I'm sure you really paid for it too. So that one was $50. I did get the original cocoon sheath with it, but that sheath is just disintegrated. All the belt loops on it broke, and the cocoon sheaths Unless you get one that's like mint, to where you happen to find one of these that's old store stock, mint condition, then yeah, the sheath's worth a bit. But to find one used, my sheath was already beat up when I got it, and it just gradually deteriorated. And if you can find the leather sheaths for these from back in the day, they are worth a bit. I've seen just some of the leather sheaths for $100 and up, as in they made them really, really nice. Now this one proves that there are idiots in Kingman, Arizona, as in I got this from the same person I got that from for the same price, $20 for a Spyderco Spiderfly. And this is the 440C version. Just very, very nice knife. These things are just wicked freaking cool. And I'm going to say, man, that it was more ignorance on that deal. She had it mixed in with some of the more common cheapies that you see around, the ones that just fall apart after you've manipulated them for a while. So either she made a really dumb mistake and mistook it for a cheapie, as in didn't recognize the name there, as in she's used to selling cheap shit and somebody just stuck this in with them. Or possibly she is fucking ignorant and couldn't count up to 100, as in $20. Mint in the box. Even if the box does look a little aged here, mint in the box, man. That's why I'm not going to flip that one. That thing, I'm keeping it mint. So that's the end of this vid. And probably going to delete the old one, even that I have over 1,000 hits. Just for the fact, man, that now you guys can see them in HD. And I do have a lot of cheaper knives that I might show again. It's just unfortunately, I've got them in a wooden box, and I don't know where the hell I put that old cigar box full of knives, man. I gotta search my room. But I do have some of the cheaper ones. And I also have my original Taylor Seto Balisong that I had back in the day, which, that one of the sites that I gave, I think when I was showing this one off for that new knife site that has a little bit of everything, he's got one for sale, man, but it is nowhere near the price he's asking. I think the reason why he's probably asking a high price is because there's not that many of that type floating around. I had the one that looked like a copy of this Pacific Cutlery one, same style, but had the wood inlays, and then the handles were aluminum, which sucked. The only reason I got it was, once again, the trade show. Badass. Miss them days. Wish I had the opportunity to buy a friggin' hot tub and a can of Chernobyl energy drink so I can go back to the 80s and buy a shitload of them. Buy them all, man. Just empty my freaking bank account and buy them all and then come back and sell them. I got it for like $20, man, at a trade show, because the guy had a shitload of stuff left and it was going to cost him too much money to ship them all back, so he was selling everything dirt cheap. But on that one, if you find one mint, just keep it for display. Don't try flipping it, because the first thing that happened on it, and that might be a problem with some of the other Taylor ones, unless they just happen to be better if you get the ones that are stainless or brass. Those wood inlays from the handles clanging together, they pop out. They used pretty crappy glue. Otherwise, not ripping on that company, but that particular knife, man, it was made really cheap. And because it was aluminum, once you started flipping that sucker, the pin there on the tang would start digging into that aluminum to where you couldn't keep it closed with the latch. They just, poor decision on that one, man. They should have stuck with just the brass and stainless steel, as in those ones are really nice. So there's your little history lesson, and the reason why I need to get a hot tub and a can of Chernobyl. So catch y'all later. Feel free to comment. And once again, if anybody can help me on this one on finding out exactly how old it is and how much it's worth, man, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you thank you, fucking thank you. I really want to know on that one. Later.